noticed recently there's a trend in television. There's a lot of fat-based TV shows. Biggest Loser, The Fattest Fat Guy, etc., etc. And there was a show a while back on ABC Family. It was called Huge. Told the story of a bunch of fat people going to fat camp to get unfat. I like the idea for that an awful lot more when it involved Ben Stiller and go-karts. It's a heavyweights reference. It's fine. You guys can understand it. It's cool. Worthless film degree. Critics have cited the show as being revolutionary to the cause of fat people. When the fuck did fat people become a people? What shared cultural heritage do fat people have? A preference to vertical stripes? Not having a choice about sweating to the oldies? Diabetes? No, that's just a bunch of crap about fat people. You wouldn't want fat people getting together and organizing. It would be horrible. And it would start out real slow, because, you know, that's how fat people do stuff. Fat people would start walking around saying stuff like, "You don't know what it's like to grow up fat. You don't understand our disposition." I can tell you exactly what it's like to grow up fat. Imagine being in a snowsuit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that smells like ham, and that is exactly what it is like. You make weird swooshing noises when you walk, you sweat all the time, and everybody thinks you're ready for winter. Other weird things would start happening. All meals would be served on those weird crunchy things from Long John Silver's. All magazines would be scratch and sniff. Frying oil would be a commodity on the stock market. The phrase "eat a slice" would be simultaneously the most popular sitcom and the most popular catchphrase in the country for 40 years running. And then, of course, inevitably, we'd end up with Fat History Month. Which really wouldn't be so bad, you know. Everyone would get tired because they don't, you know. But you could have along with it. It'd only be a week long. On a Monday, you could talk about our first fat president, Taft, and the crazy bathtub incident. On Tuesday, you know, you can talk about fat people's contribution to the entertainment industry, the Belushis. On Wednesday, you can make little construction paper bacons and just hang them around the room. Thursday, you can just lay out a buffet and let the kids watch a fat man graze. And on Friday, you get real with the kids and talk about viable career options for fat people. Fat cop, fat fireman, southern plantation owner, rascal scooter operator, stand-up comic. That's all 5. That's all 5. Like the shortest Votech commercial ever. I was once held in the basement against my will for 2 weeks of my life, and I was violently beat about the face with a claw hammer, and I was forced to write commercials for things that didn't need commercials. I'd like to share them with you now. Skin. It keeps you together. Blood. The natural male enhancer. Speaking. It's how professionals communicate. Religion. Can't have humanity without it. War. From the makers of religion! I only do that joke to piss off my mom. Chairs. I bet you can't sit in just one. Bingo. Keeping elderly on geriatric crime out of our streets for 3 hours on a Thursday. Sleeves. Yet another place to wipe your semen. Black lights. Semen on your sleeve, find out for sure. DNA testing kits. Semen on your sleeve, find out if it's yours. That's enough of that. That's disgusting. That's so gross. Ew. I would have left if I was you guys. I can't believe you guys stayed. You guys like to drink at all? Yeah, woo! Love drinking. So love drinking. It's my favorite thing in the world. I drink for all the classic reasons, you know. I hate myself. It's really all the reasons you need. And sometimes I get to, I'm sure most of you are familiar with being blackout drunk. I'm sure you understand that concept. And sometimes it's referred to time traveling drunk, where you start drinking somewhere with certain people, and you kind of end up somewhere several hours later, and you don't know how you got there with different clothes and slightly different friends. Time traveling drinking, yeah. And one day, me and my fellow, call him a scientist, we time traveled to a Taco Bell. And we rolled into said Taco Bell, and I pulled out a sweaty $20 bill, because all my $20 bills are sweaty. And I slammed it down into the counter and I said, "Hey lady, give me a shitload of tacos." And the lady behind the counter did something that absolutely blew our minds. She did this. Boop. I'll do it again. Boop. Not boo 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 or beady beady boo. No, which meant at that West Mifflin Taco Bell, there was a shitload of tacos button. Our minds were blown. It's like we'd seen into the ninth chakra of the universe. All was possible and all could be. We could be the star child. So we had to know. This was the most pending and most important question that could ever be asked. So I asked her at the height of my intelligence, "So you got a shitload of tacos button or what?" And she looked back at us like we were absolute fucking idiots. And we were, but that's besides the point. And she looked me straight in the eye, and she said, "Cha, everyone knows a shitload is 8. And we went, "Oh." Because O is the sound you make when you learn something. And that's what we learned that day. We learned that a shitload was 8. And the next day we learned that a baker's shitload is 9. Ugh. Love living on the South Side. It's a great place to live. Always a ruckus down here. If you're into drinking, you're in Mecca. Constant ruckus down here on Friday and Saturday. It's just a giant drunken amoeba spread out all over the streets. And last summer, I was living down here, and I was living in my house on 20th Street, and I was up in the middle of the night, and I was suffering from a very serious bout of insomnia. Sometimes it's also called being fat and not having air conditioning. And I was watching Channel 4 Action News at 4:30 in the morning, and there was this story about this guy who had robbed the Southside Burger King. And I remember this story very vividly because it was the first time in my life I'd ever stood up in my bed and cheered on a robber. Because I hate that Southside Burger King more than anything in the goddamn world. It's just like they got together an Ocean's 11 style crew of jackass adolescent retards and just assigned them a task each that they would only excel at being with the most horrible way impossible. And just, you know, there's some kind of like George Clooney character organizing and orchestrating this place to be the worst Burger Kingdom it can be. All right, little Pete, you're working the register today. I want you to wait till 35 people come in here, and then you can start serving them. Well, why, sir? Why would we do that? So they get hungry, little Pete. Now, stop asking questions. Fat Sal! All right, Fat Sal, you're doing the same thing Little John is, but you're working the drive-thru. This place is a traffic advisory. In an hour, I'm going to be so mad. Why are these hamburgers symmetrical? What is going on with these symmetrical hamburgers? And I hoped that other people would feel the same amount of outrage about this Burger King as I did. And perhaps on Friday and Saturday nights, instead of people going to the ATM, they said, "Fuck it, let's rob that Burger King." And it became a thing, and we got more organized, and we got a Facebook group and an Android app, and we coordinated our attacks till eventually we accidentally burned the place to the ground. And then we could get what we always wanted, which is a Wendy's.